Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, WWE wrestler gets released and is immediately announced for AEW Dynamite.
Gunther heckled with Walter Chants on this week's episode of NXT 2.0.
Nia Jax has revealed she turned down the 2022 Royal Rumble.
And 11 former WWE wrestlers are officially free agents today. I'm Adam Wilborn.
I'm Andy Murray.
And this is the news.
Brian Kendrick's going to wrestle on Dynamite tonight.
Wow.
That's not something I expected to wake up to, but it's a thing. So last week, was it last week? I think it was last week. We covered the PW Insider report about Brian Kendrick, who had asked for his WWE release. He'd done it sometime in, it sounded like December, but he'd been waiting a while. He hadn't heard back. Well, Fightful Select came through, and get this, at 7:53 p.m. Eastern Time last night, Fightful Select that Brian Kendrick was no longer with WWE. Got his release out of the company. Good for him. If you don't want to be in a job, you should be allowed to walk away, WWE. There's obviously a big difference between that and budget cutting someone in the middle of their contract. Now, less than an hour later, so this report dropped at 7:53. At 8:45,
wow.
AEW tweeted out, "Hey, Brian Kendrick's wrestling. He's wrestling Jon Moxley." So that debut.
Welcome to AEW, by the way.
Yeah, that debute's not going to go well for him, is it? Poor guy. So there's no word on whether or not AEW have actually signed Brian Kendrick yet, but he's wrestling on Dynamite tonight. Fightful did say in their initial write-up that it was expected that Kendrick would be at Dynamite tonight. Chicago episode, big episode, of course. CM Punk and MJF.
Can't believe CM Punk's losing his first match tonight.
Shocking, isn't it?
I'm so excited.
Absolutely shocking. But yeah, that's the situation. That's what it is. That's all we know factually. We don't know if he's signed or anything like that. I think a lot of people, bad faith people mostly, will look at this and immediately go, "Oh, they're just, as soon as he's out the door, he's in."
TNA in it, that's what they'll say.
Yeah, well, technically that's correct. Let's not pretend that Brian Kendrick isn't somebody who can offer something.
Yes.
As a wrestler and a coach, because he's
absolutely.
He trained Ronda Rousey, and she was best rookie year apart from Kurt Angle ever. So let's see what happens with this for sure. Haven't seen Brian Kendrick wrestle in ages because he hasn't wrestled since October 2020. But yeah, good luck to him. I think he has a lot to offer behind the scenes. We'll see if he ends up signing.
So has he literally been chucked out of NXT 2.0 by Von Wagner and just landed on Dynamite?
Was it not Harland?
Oh, maybe it was Harland, actually.
Giant,
sorry.
Giant baby.
I'm keen to get Von Wagner into all possible stories.
Should we just replace all NXT stories we do now? Name is Von Wagner.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I'm excited to see this. Like you say, he's going to get battered by Jon Moxley.
Poor guy.
But I've no doubt he's got lots to offer.
Yeah.
And you telling me we are one step closer to seeing one of my favourite tag teams growing up reuniting? I used to love London and Kendrick.
I thought you were going to say Kendrick and Ezekiel Jackson.
Oh, no.
That'd be Ben Roy.
Yes, indeed. Thank goodness he's not editing the news today.
That's what you call domination.
The screen would be full with Ezekiel Jackson memes right now. But speaking of NXT 2.0, last night we saw Imperium take on the Diamond Mine in this mad 6-man tag match. And that was the first in-ring match of Gunther's NXT 2.0 career. He has been, of course, Walter prior to that, but not last week, a couple of weeks ago, he won that match and he went, "Oh, I'm the winner and my name's Gunther." And then he went, "What's your surname?" And he went, "Don't ask about that because it's all a little bit awkward." Well, on last night's NXT, he wrestled and was tormented with Walter Chants basically throughout the entire night. Now, yes, Imperium, spoilers, did get the victory, but it didn't take away from the fact that an audience, you'd say, are fairly, dedicated to WWE and whatever they kind of give them in the NXT 2.0 dome, just heckled him with Walter Chants. Yeah. Why don't they just change him back to Walter?
Yeah,
it's not a thing, this is it. I know you want to own everything WWE, but he's going to be Walter forever in my eyes, so...
this is the easiest crowd in wrestling as well, isn't it? Von Wagner could do a headlock and they go, "This is awesome." They love everything apart from this. It's wild. I think that, and the tone of their chants was Walter. It was mocking. It reminded
Daryl Strawberry, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The Simpsons.
It reminded me actually of. Do you remember when Albert came back as Lord Tensai?
Yes.
And everyone was like, "Oh, Albert!" And it just completely
This
ruined.
is Lord Tensai. That's Albert.
That's the S&M guy from back in the day.
A-Tree.
Yeah, it's what was? Yeah, that was his rap name. Sorry,
yeah.
I got confused between him and Bull Buchanan.
B squared.
But yeah, it's really tough to take it seriously, and even removing all the Nazi stuff, which we covered in great detail.
Imagine having to say that.
I know,
taking away all the Nazi stuff.
Forget about that for a second. But even from the core standpoint of this guy being in WWE for 3 years and you know him as one thing, and suddenly you haven't changed his character but you're changing his name. It's a really stupid thing for people to take, isn't it? I think
Did we not learn from Shorty G?
This is it. And I think in the end, we'll all just be like, okay, whatever, his name's Walter now. Like, everyone will get over it.
You just literally said Walter again.
Yeah. Oh,
so there you go, we can't get over it.
No, yeah, point proved, let's move on to the next story.
We're going to call him Walter from now on. Gunther is not a thing.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry.
Sorry, Gunty. Gunty is short version of Gunther, which is only 2 syllables anyway, so that's pointless. Nia Jax. Right, she was on The Sessions with Renee.
One of the best wrestling podcasts out there that isn't WhatCulture Wrestling's podcast, WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from.
Recently rebranded from Oral Sessions, so probably a good idea if you want to avoid jokes. But yeah, Nia was on there, or the artist formerly known as Nia Jax was on there. Her first big interview since leaving WWE, and yeah, man, she'll shoot. She doesn't care. She'll shoot. It's a good, entertaining listen. I'd recommend checking it out, even if you're not going to agree with everything she says. But one thing she did bring up, and this is no great surprise considering like a lot of people turned down the Royal Rumble reportedly this year, but Nia was among them. I'll just read what she said because hey, it's a wild story. She said, I was in the middle of trying to get my stuff back. I had a bunch of crap. You know how it is. You're just shoving stuff in everybody's boxes. I'm in the middle of getting my stuff back from WWE. Of course, Nia was released on the 4th of November. They sent me a box and more than half of it was missing. I'm like, yo, what's going on? When I got the call, I thought it was about that. She said, where's my stuff? It's my homie in talent relations who's phoning her, saying, hey, we're just calling to see if you'd like to be interested in the Royal Rumble. I started laughing hysterically. I thought it was just my friend joking with me. He said, oh, you're hilarious. Actually, this is an official call, replies the talent relations person. Nia's response, oh, no. I'm not coming back. I said, first of all, I'm still under my 90 days. You're still going to have to pay me. You're still going to pay me anyway because you're paid for your 90 days. So you're not really offering me anything. No, I'm not coming back. Absolutely effing not. Is this all it was? Person replies, yes. Okay, bye. So, like, in this interview, there's stuff in here that, you know, I don't agree with. Vaccination stuff, right? I don't want what I'm about to say to come off as like I don't want this to come off as like an endorsement of everything in this interview. So let's separate bits and parts of it. However, hell yeah, this is exactly what she should say.
Yes.
This rules. Like, good for Nia Jax for telling them to piss off, man. Like, they're paying you anyway. You're not getting anything out of it. They just released you a few months ago. Of course, tell them to shove it. Good for her. I think this is awesome. Like, there are different situations and different people. Mickie James, of course, opted to participate.
Yeah.
That's her choice. She obviously felt like, yeah, this is a good thing for me. It's a good thing for Impact. Let's brush away all the stuff about the bin bag and we'll end this relationship on a good note. Quality. Everyone's different. But this, I like this. Middle finger. Good stuff.
Yeah, I'm just going to echo what I said, although I'd be a complete hypocrite when we talked about the Iconics and their rejecting of a return to WWE. You don't get to release people in the middle of a pandemic due to budget cuts and then go, oh, bollocks, we haven't got 30 women anymore.
Exactly.
Do you want to come back? Now, whether I would have wanted Nia Jax in the Royal Rumble is a very different question.
Right.
But, like you say, also, do you know what I've just realised? And I don't know if this is a really, like, belated eureka moment of mine. So when you get released, you can't just, like, go in and get your stuff.
It gets sent to you, apparently.
Oh, I really wouldn't be happy about that.
I guess that's
just
why
know it'd
Mickie-
be boxed up wrong.
Bin bag, maybe.
Yeah.
I think the guy got fired, but
Yeah,
still. Good for Nia Jax, this rules.
fair play.
Yep.
Right, let's conclude by talking a little bit more about those budget cuts because Andy Murray, 11 of those people we talked about getting released many moons ago are now officially free agents. They were released on the 4th of November, which means 90 days. It means today they are now free to work and sign elsewhere. They are Karrion Kross, B-Fab, Lindsay Dorado, Grand Metalik, Mia Yim, Keith Lee, Nia Jax, Harry Smith, Eva Marie, Ember Moon, and the brilliant Oni Lorcan. Excited to see what all these guys do next.
Yeah, for sure. Big day for talent coming up. Dynamite's tonight. Will one of them show up? Who knows? It's interesting to think about. Generally, if you're a main roster wrestler and you're contracted there, you have the 90 days, which is why a bunch of the people who were released on the 4th of November have showed up elsewhere, because if you're NXT, it's 30 days. The exceptions to this would be Oney Lorcan, who was given the main roster contract when he went to 205 Live, and Ember Moon, who went to the main roster, came back, still 90 days for her. Really looking forward to seeing what some of these people do for sure, especially Keith Lee.
Not all of them for you. You're really not happy with Karrion Kross, are you?
What?
Well, he used to be a baldy. And now
he's betrayed us.
Yeah.
He's betrayed us. He always had, the thing about Karrion Kross though was he always had quite good coverage. Anyway, even when he was a bald lad, you could see when it started coming through. His hairline was pretty good. So he's not really a true member of the community, but at the same time, you represented us, my friend, and then you betrayed us. I'm going to beat you up.
And also,
no, I'm not.
It could be worse. He could have had a hair transplant. And woe betide anyone who crosses Andy Murray's had a hair transplant.
You with a choke slam if you do that.
Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions. At WhatCulture WWE, of course, if you want to get in touch with us. First question today comes from Blint and Daff. It's a dog that sent us this tweet. And
very intelligent dog.
Says, hey chums, do you think WWE need mid-card women's belts? Why can't they have women's US and intercontinental belts? There's so much female talent out there, and these belts can introduce much-needed stories for them. Woof.
Woof. I think as a concept, if you have a packed, stacked roster, and they have a lot of very talented people in these divisions, for sure, it's a good idea. Yes, 100%. But at the moment, I just don't think they have enough wrestlers, honestly. The SmackDown side of it is particularly thin. I think they have something 7 people on that roster.
Yeah.
And it's I just don't think they have enough people. You look at the Royal Rumble, for example, I believe there was 15 full-timers and 15 part-time / returnees. It's kind of like a farce. They've fired everyone. I hate to keep repeating that point, but they've fired everyone. So I think they would need to beef those rosters out first. Say you had, I don't know, 15, 20 people on each side. Maybe you could think about doing that. But for now, 2, like me, on top, 2 thin.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, AEW's got the women's belt and then the TBS championship, of course.
Teams.
But that's only because they've got, sort of one show of champions, basically. You've got a SmackDown and a Raw Women's Champion, and obviously tag team champions, although we often forget about them. So I don't think there's any need for them right now. 2 years ago, if you'd have asked me, maybe.
Yeah.
But like you say, the roster's too thin for it now, and it would just be... you've got a 24/7 championship around Dana Brooks' waist as well, of course. It'd just be getting passed around by Aaliyah, Natalya, and Shotzi off the top of my head, and it wouldn't do anything for anyone.
If they signed 20 people and put them all on the main roster tomorrow, let's do it. But for now, maybe
put Dakota Kai on the main roster. She's really good.
Pretty good at wrestling.
Jeremy Meyer gives us our second question of the day, saying, with MJF most likely cheating to get the win over Punk, how dare you, Jeremy? How dare you? That man has never cheated in his life. He is my best friend. Right. With MJF most likely cheating to get the win over Punk, who will be the first to beat him clean? Ooh. I assume he means Punk, because MJF has obviously never actually lost a singles match properly.
Of course.
Moxley did. Well, he cheated, didn't he? And Jericho, got shenanigans.
That scamp Sean Dean. How could you, Sean?
Doesn't count that. He wasn't ready. He wasn't ready, so not having that.
There you go.
But yes, who do you think beats Punk clean first?
Sean Dean. Yeah. Poor Sean Dean. I like Sean Dean.
Yeah,
He's a nice guy.
you're right.
I've lost my train of thought here. So yeah, who's going to beat CM Punk first? It's got to be something big. I think it's got to be something important. I think ideally in these situations you would use it to mint someone you want to move up the card, use it to elevate, use the CM Punk rub to push people forward. That's how wrestling has worked since the dawn of wrestling, really. So with that in mind, I think I'll go for someone he has a little bit of history with. Mm-hmm. Someone he doesn't have any history with him actually, but never mind. A rising babyface force, young, creative, full of good ideas. I'm talking about the Fiend. Darby Allin. Darby Allin, I think. It'll be a nice way to come full circle after the first match.
Oh, can you imagine if it is the Fiend?
Imagine if it was the Fiend.
I genuinely thought for a split second there, you were going to go. Young up-and-comer, babyface star, Cody.
That would be hilarious.
That's what I'm booking.
The chaos surrounding that.
Can you imagine?
The Fiend would be fun.
Jungle Boy. Bollocks to it. Let's give it Jungle Boy.
What if Jungle Boy's the Fiend? Are you the Fiend?
Don't start it.
We are all the Fiend.
I've got at Adam Wilburn on Twitter, I'm going to be releasing a very interesting theory surrounding the Fiend in AEW a little bit later on. Boop.
Boom, 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 boom.
My sources, that's all we'll say. Sir Daddy gives us our final question of the day. Do you want me to read in the Tiffany Stratton voice?
Yes.
Okay, let me do that again. Sir Daddy gives us our final question of the day. Says, I'm not saying I want to say this, but thinking about a WrestleMania matchup, after seeing the bells in a row, do you think there's a chance we see Bayley get revenge for the last WrestleMania by teaming with Sasha versus the Bellas?
What the hell did you just say?
Do you think Bayley and Sasha will team against the Bellas?
All right, okay. So actually, on our website yesterday, I did an article predicting 10 WrestleMania matches after the Rumble. So go and have a look at that.
Ooh.
On that, I predicted that the Bellas would be on the WrestleMania card, but I predicted them wrestling for the women's tag team titles because I had Bayley and Sasha against Lita and Trish, which is very fanciful. But I think your idea is likelier. Wonder if Lita will maybe be one and done after the Elimination Chamber. But yeah, I think that's a good idea. Makes sense. That was really crap what they did to Bayley at WrestleMania last year. And her and Sasha, you know, they've been friends and enemies. They have a complicated history. You can just throw them back together.
Exactly.
Their history is so weird and intertwined. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's not the Bellas' fault what happened to Bayley. That's booking
no hate on the
decisions.
Bellas, no.
Having said that, I want them to batter the Bellas and easily beat them because they're Bayley and Sasha. And you don't always have to have legends beat the current stars because guess what? That makes the current stars look like a piece of crap.
Yeah, but Brie mode, mate. So.
Theme,
Is that your favourite theme of all time? Or is it Kelly's?
I'll tell you what it is. It's Candice Michelle's second theme.
Oh,
All eyes on.
That goes hard though. Like it starts like normal, and then it's like, like it's wild, absolutely wild. For me, Brie mode. Go and do Kelly.
That's actually better than Brie's theme.
not bad, is it?
What was Kelly's again?
Hello.
And the boys of you say, ooh, and tell just what to do.
Daddy.
Let's move on to today's and finally. This is going to be a tough transition because I want to say thank you to everyone out there who saw Chris Cyborg's tweet tangling, let's say, with Thunder Rosa and tagged me in it. Subsequently, I felt like I had to call her out. Don't know why I did that. She shared this clip of her and Thunder Rosa wrestling in Chris Cyborg's Bellator-themed sort of gym, and I tweeted, I got next, and Chris Cyborg responded, careful what you wish for, so it's been nice knowing you, Andy. I'm going to get killed by Chris Cyborg.
Literally the only way you can survive this is if you become the Fiend. Can't swear.
Right, you already have. Let us know your thoughts on that and all of today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. Myself and the Daily Boys sitting down to review NXT 2.0 a little bit later on today. And look ahead to AEW Dynamite later on tonight. I wish this chair would squeak more. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE. Watch there, follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for ham, as in Windham.
Ooh, could it be tonight? Michael Sidgwick's head will explode if it does. You can follow me on Twitter at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. But for now, my thanks to Andy Murray, to the Fiend. Thank you for watching us, and we will see you soon.
Bloody love the Fiend.